welcome to TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. And of course today we are going to be talking about all of the reaction, all of the fallout from yesterday's defeat against Osasuna, which left Real Madrid champions of La Liga. And obviously after the game yesterday, I think emotions were very, very high. I think we were all incredibly disappointed, not because we lost the league. We'd kind of been expecting that now for several weeks, but just the way the players went out there was no real fight. They'd almost given up before it even started. And of course, huge questions still remain over the future of Quique Setien. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about what Messi came out and said after the game, what Setien himself said after the game, and what that all means looking ahead to the Champions League. Will Setien still be in charge? Let's discuss in full. Because that's the first thing to note, that Messi came out after the game and spoke to the media. That in itself is a big, big statement, and I'm actually very, very glad that he took it upon himself to go and do that. They just lost the league, Real Madrid, confirmed champions, and it would have been easy there just to shy away, get out of the stadium, go home, and just put it all behind you. But no, Messi as a captain, sometimes he can be questioned, but I think really, really good there to see him facing up to it, facing the media, and ultimately there, speaking to us fans. Because in that interview, I would say that mostly Messi looked frustrated, he looked angry, and you also saw that, of course, after he scored. He didn't even celebrate his goal, and that's not normal. Quite clearly out there, he was a frustrated player, a frustrated person. But more than all that, I think it showed in that interview that he does care. And of course, we never doubted that, but he really does care. He wants us to perform, he wants us to win. And I actually think that, despite what you may have heard in the media, I've looked into this Messi interview in a lot of detail, and he doesn't actually single out Setien for all of the criticism. Messi, for me, what you're going to hear in a moment is words that he used. I think actually he's angry, maybe with himself, but maybe there with the players as a whole. And he does say that, as you'll hear. He started by saying we didn't want to end the league in this way, but today's game reflects what we've seen this year. We've been very irregular, we've been weak. He said they beat us today with intensity, and we've lost points throughout the season that we shouldn't have lost just like this. He said Real Madrid did what they needed to do after the break. He said it's impressive there, they haven't dropped any points, but he said we also helped them a lot with our own performances. He said we must be self-critical. He said starting with the players, because at Barcelona, we are obliged to win every game. We must look at ourselves. He then went on to say the fans are angry about what's happened this season, and he said it's understandable. He said we're angry too. He said also the defeats against Roma, then Liverpool. He said the fans are running out of patience, and that's normal because we aren't giving them anything. And I thought that was interesting there, that he mentioned, of course, the disappointments against Roma, against Liverpool, and he specifically said there the fans are losing patience, which, to be fair, we are. We're losing patience here with this group of players, and we are angry, of course, about the way that things happen season upon season. But I also feel there in Messi's words, he's not just talking about the fans. For me, and given what we've heard in the media, he is losing patience here with this team, time and time again, falling down. Now, of course, he's part of that team, but we all know that Messi and the level that he's had has been at a high level for such a long time. He expects those around him as well to help to win these big titles, and I think he was saying there that he's running out of patience. He said, I already said before that if we continued like this, we cannot win the Champions League. Because he said it wasn't even good enough to win La Liga, so how can it be good enough to win the Champions League? He said, if we don't improve, we won't even beat Napoli. And those words there, they are damning from your captain, from your leader, from the best player in the world, to be coming out and openly saying, you know what, if we don't get better, if we don't do more, we're out. We ain't winning nothing. And that's not him being defeatist. That's not him there being negative. That's being realistic. That is looking at what we've got right now, looking at the way we're playing, and saying, look, if we don't improve, if we don't have a serious change in this team right now, we're going nowhere. We don't even need to think about winning the Champions League because it won't happen. Messi there, very, very damning of our prospects. I feel like he did try to finish the interview there on some kind of positive. He said now we can use the break to maybe clear our heads. He said we're going to get some rest and then we can go into the Champions League and start from scratch. He said we could have 4 games that can give us the trophy, but he said again, to achieve that, we must change a lot and we must be self-critical. Once again, looking at himself, looking at the players. It's not all about Setien. I think Messi there, certainly, he's saying we've been irregular, we've been inconsistent, we've been weak. There is, of course, criticism there of the coaching staff. But he's also saying, look at Roma, look at Liverpool, look at us now. We have to change collectively. We've got to take responsibility. And no matter what, Messi there, quite clearly as we've heard over the past few weeks, he ain't happy. It was then very, very interesting because after that Messi interview, which came there immediately after the game, Quique Setien then went into his post-match press conference. So basically, they'd heard journalists there, all of what Messi had to say, and they could basically then ask Quique Setien, what did you think about that? What did you think about that? What did you think about what Messi said? And he then had to react to what Messi had just said in the media. And Quique Setien said, first of all, he said the feeling overall is sadness and disappointment. He said the league title is as much a merit to Real Madrid as it is a demerit to us. So basically echoing there just what Messi said, that Madrid did a good job in doing what they needed to do, but Barcelona certainly did help them along the way. And he was then asked the big question, will you still be the coach by the game against Napoli in the Champions League? And I've got to say there, Quique Setien's answer, he's always said, you know what, it's out of my hands, I'm not really sure what the future is going to hold, but he didn't sound at all confident in what he said. He said, I hope so, but I don't know. He said, I hope that I am the coach, but I really don't know right now. He said, I agree with some of the things there that Messi said. He said about being self-critical and looking to improve. He said, because if we don't improve, yes, it will be difficult to achieve what we want. But he did go on and say, he said, we have still done some good things. We tried to improve, and there have been some moments which have cost us. Other times, we have played quite well. He then went on also, just like Messi did, Setien did indeed look at himself in that self-criticism. He said the self-criticism has to come from everyone. He said myself included. And he said, although now we're sad, again, tried to put a bit of positive spin on things. He said, now the players have a chance to get some rest. He said, I'm convinced we are going to be a different team with a different attitude. And we're going to face the Champions League with maximum effort. Setien believes we can change, believes the team will be different come the Champions League. But the big question is he going to get that chance? Is he still going to be there by the time Napoli comes around in just 3 weeks' time? And I think certainly right now that is the big question. You can see quite clearly the players are unhappy. I think, to be honest, they've been unhappy for quite a long time. We've known about that behind the scenes, things not being right. And like I've said before, this doesn't just stop with Setien. Just like it didn't stop with Valverde, you can't put everything on the coach. You can't put everything on the players. Those in the higher management at the board of directors, Bartomeu and co, they have the responsibility. They put together this squad over the years they've been in power. They've had such a long time here to build a team, to build a project, to look long term, but they have never ever done that. They've never ever been looking to move in the right direction. And what we're seeing now is all of those bad decisions. The fact we could be on our third coach of the season going into the Champions League, that's ridiculous. That's bad planning on so many levels. And according to reports now, today, Quique Setien will actually meet with Bartomeu. They're going to sit down there and thrash things out, thrash out Setien's future. They're going to have a very, very frank discussion, I would imagine. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Because if Setien remains in the job, I don't really think the players right now are playing for him. We said that a few weeks ago now, that potentially he's lost the dressing room. But if he is sacked, what do they do then? Did they bring in Garcia Pimienta? Do we move on to our third coach? And are the players going to take to him? Are they going to listen there to a coach who's coming in, potentially just for 1 month of action? That game against Napoli, it's going to be huge. It really, really is. I honestly can't see which way this goes. Would you keep Setien for the Champions League? Or would you pull the trigger now? And just finally, guys, there's also some big news breaking today regarding the Barcelona B players who are technically part of the first team right now for the rest of the season, because Ronald Araujo, Riqui Puig and Ansu Fati are not going to be with Barcelona B this weekend for their promotion playoff game. And that's a big, big story in Spain because it was open to discussion. We didn't really know how it was going to work out, whether Ansu would go back there and play with Barça B, same for Riqui Puig, same with Araujo, they could try and help them there get promoted. But apparently, Quique Setien is worried about injuries ahead of the Champions League, and for that reason, they are going to be staying with the first team and not returning to Barcelona B. And I would just say this, because many people there will criticise Quique Setien for that decision, but again for me, you've got to look higher. You've got to look at the fact here of why we actually need those players. Because let's put it like this, if Araujo goes to Barcelona B, gets an injury, and then in the Champions League, in just 3 weeks' time, he can't play, and something happens to Piqué or Longley, you've got no one. We don't have Umtiti. We don't have Jean-Claire Todibo. We've got no depth at all there at centre-back. You look at the forward line, you've got Antoine Griezmann out, you've got Dembele out, Braithwaite cannot play the Champions League, and again, if Ansu Fati was to get injured, you've got big problems there too. And the midfield, Busquets suspended, Vidal suspended. Against Napoli, we've got problems all over the pitch. Why? Because the board have built a squad here that doesn't have depth. They have not built a team that's capable of winning leagues, winning Champions League, competing on all fronts, and they've had the time and the money to do it. But they've failed. They have failed us, and that, regardless of any coach, is the bottom line. So please do leave your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. So many opinions and so many emotions going on right now in the Barcelona fan base, and that is completely understandable. We have been through some incredible moments as fans of Barca, but over the past few years, it's been tough. It's been one low after another, trying to pick ourselves up, trying to get back on with things, trying to look to the future. But like I keep saying, 2021 is when the elections will be coming and when change can start to happen at Barcelona. And I'm going to have more talk coming up on Victor Fonts very, very soon, and his plan for the club, should he get into power. All of that to come, guys. Thanks indeed for watching. Let me know those thoughts down below. But of course, until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.